A little bit under the weather lately, so my voice is kind of hoarse if you watch some other videos, so no big deal. Okay, so the point of the video is to go over all the main controls on the PowerSafe machine and to mention a few things regarding most of our customers end up getting this equipment as we ship to them. So the machine is going to be essentially in a similar condition to this inside of a box. Okay, it's not going to, of course, have a stand under it. The handlebars will be down like this. Control rods will be something like this. There'll be a bunch of paper and stuff inside here. Actually, if you look at the pallet we have right here, there's a tractor and some other implements getting ready to leave today. So it'll look something like that. So firstly, of course, cut away all your material, cut the strapping on your fastening your boxes to the pallet. And if you look over at this one, so here's the one we'll be packing up shortly, and here's a tractor box. So imagine tractor inside the box. Once you get all the packing off of it, open up the box, pull all the packing materials out. There will be a plastic cover inside the box. Pull this out. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Get it out of the way, and then everything else. Sometimes we have miscellaneous parts down in there. And as far as how do you get the tractor out of the box, well, not too difficult really. Just go ahead and cut your box open, and you can cut it, wherever you want to cut it. Cut the box open, lay the sides out. Then what you can do to roll your tractor off the pallet, control rods being down here like this, okay, not in the control rod holders here, because what I'm about to do is rotate the handlebars. We can't do that when those are locked in place up here. Okay, so sure, you could lift it up and then wheel it out like this. Now, of course, on a PowerSafe model, you want to make sure this lever is not in that position. It would need to be forward. That's a parking brake, and also that the ground speed or transmission here selector is in N, which is neutral. Okay, then we can move it. So you could just roll it off like this, but even you get better leverage if you just grab a hold of one hand grip, take this lever, push it down. I can bring my handlebars up to a more comfortable position, grab this lever, which is located underneath your right hand grip, and then just walk all the way up. I'm sorry, I went the wrong way, which actually that's good. I can point that out. So notice there is a tab right here, which prevents us from moving the handlebars all the way around in one direction. So there we go. So now I could wheel this out of the box. Before I did so, just to be on the safe side, I would go ahead and rotate my control rods back around and put them in place. Because if they're hanging there and they pop off and you start this thing rolling, they could get pinched down in between the wheel and something could get messed up. So there you go. You could just wheel that thing right off the pallet and then you get your tractor. I'm going to bring the handlebars back around just since we're videoing here, and I want to talk about the controls. So coming back around, when you rotate those handlebars, you want to make sure you hold that lever down the whole time. It pulls a pin up underneath the steering column that unlocks it and then relocks it when we get into position here. Okay, so tractors come pretty much 99% set up. In the case of this one, it's electric start machine. So in the case of electric start machine, you'll usually find that the negative battery terminal is disconnected, which is right here. Just go ahead and reconnect here to however, if that's 10 millimeter. And then, regardless of electric start or recoil start, fuel, we always shut the fuel off. So here is your fuel shut off right here. Just flip your fuel on, and then there you go. So pretty much at that point, you're ready to go. Once you understand the machine and how to use it and all that. So that's why let me go over the controls. But that's really all the setup you have to do, at least tractor-wise. So we take care of all that setup and everything. Okay, so this is the PowerSafe model 749. We'll look at some controls here. Okay, this control here, this is on and off, or kill switch, if you will. Red is off, green is on. Machine will only run when this is in the green, okay? We have got a parking brake lever here. It basically just locks in both of our steering brakes at the same time. It's kind of nice to have that. Only available in the power safe models. We have got a left steering brake here, well, depending how we have our brakes set up. This customer is getting 2 mowers, so we set it up so that the left brake is going to turn the machine left and the right steering brake is going to turn the machine right. When you rotate the handlebars 180 degrees, that would be the opposite. Okay, so steering brake here, steering brake here. We've got our clutch. Now, power safe clutch operates the opposite as it does, at least the levers, as it does on, say, a non-power safe machine, say a BCS 853, for example. What you need to do is you first pull your clutch lever in. This is our clutch lever, okay? Then you bring down this red lever, okay? Then when you're ready to do some work, keep holding the red lever down, let our clutch out, and then there we go. I could be driving around, mowing, working the soil, whatever. When you let off this red lever here, machine stops instantly, okay? Or let my clutch out and doing some work, working the soil, whatever, pull my clutch in, the machine stops instantly at that point as well, okay? The machine will not do anything when this lever is in this position. Now, it's very important that you do not try to bring this lever down first. What it's going to do is either stretch out the cable and or bend the bracket down here, okay? So order of operation, clutch lever first, OPC, red lever here, second, okay? All right, moving around, we got handlebar height adjustment, okay? Just grab a hold of one of your hand grips, got 7 different positions on here. You can move it, use it, do this on the fly or change it on the fly as you're working the soil, which mowing, whatever, usually in the soil you do change your height adjustment often, perhaps maybe not so much mowing. Okay, working around here, we've got differential lever, okay? 99% of the time, leave this differential lever in this position. What it does is it locks the wheels together so you have essentially 2-wheel drive. You have a straight axle. It's like it's operating as a straight axle machine. It's a differential machine, but so most of you are not going to use that. Camera malfunction there. We have to take pause. All right. So what I was saying, when I was talking about differential lever, if you're in really deep soil, I mean, there's some pretty big tires here, but then you get bogged down. Sure, if you're in some really rutted out ground mowing, whatever, you need traction. You're getting wheel spin. Okay, that's why you would pull this back. You do not have to use clutch to do that. You can do that at any time. Now, one thing to note: the steering brakes are not effective when you are utilizing the differential. When it's pulled in this position, it locks those wheels together. They will overpower the steering brakes. Steering brakes will not work when the differential is locked. Okay, so most of the time you're going to have it right there. All right, here we've got forward and reverse, the red lever. Okay, in this position that we're set up right now, a mowing position, we'd have a mower out there. Handlebars would be on the opposite side if we had a soil work implement. But in this position, this is reverse and this is forward. When we rotate the handlebars the other way, it's the opposite. This would be forward, and this would be reverse when you're in the soil working rear mount position. Okay, so moving around. Let me mention one thing right quick. I haven't got to this. Never mind. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. All right, we got our engine control here, throttle. Okay, idle, low speed, high speed, full throttle, all the way up. Okay, pretty straightforward. That just controls our engine speed. It does not control our transmission, except it does, of course we have 3 working speeds. It will make it go faster or slower within the gear you happen to be in. Okay, I mentioned this earlier on, but this is how we offset our handlebars. If I was tilling with the handlebars on the other side and wanted to walk off to the side, like over here, to do that, grab this lever, offset, left or right, okay? Pretty easy, and we already talked about the steering brake. Okay, so let me go and mention these controls here, so I did not talk about those. What we've got right here is our PTO engagement, okay? Moving this lever toward the engine will engage, moving it away from the engine will disengage, regardless of which side the handlebars are on, okay? We've got 3 ground speeds on our power safe model, the 749, and we have 2 neutrals in there. Go a zigzag pattern, okay? So when you shift, you'll move this thing a little bit to left and right just to navigate the shift pattern as I'm doing. New users will generally jerk this thing out of there and shift like that, but once you do it a little bit. All right, hold on, we're repositioning the camera for better view. Okay. Okay, so down here is our shift plate, this little zigzag pattern. That's what I was just talking about. Okay, so you can just toggle those things, leaving your control rod within the holder. Okay. Now, PTO engagement rod, ground speeds 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then forward and reverse. These three operations, you must utilize the clutch when you're going to change any engage PTO, shift from forward to reverse, change gears. Okay, so of course, I don't know if you need to show this, guys, but I'm pulling in my clutch. If this machine was running, I would have to be utilizing my clutch right now in order to shift gears. With it not running, it's not going to get any grinding, but it won't necessarily always shift into gear when it's not running. Okay, this particular machine, you see this right down here, has a debris screen. Okay, we'll install, sell this to the customer and install them on new tractors for mowing applications. So when you're mowing, once this thing, what's going to happen is cut material is going to get sucked on this because there's a cooling air intake here. Take your hand at some interval while you're mowing, you see it's half covered, wipe all the crud off, the grass, cut material so it can get cool air and cool the engine. You don't want to get overheating problems by letting this get completely clogged. Okay. Another thing, because we have the debris screen on here, is this blue plastic. It's purely cosmetic. Okay. I find it gets in the way. If you have a debris screen, I like to let my customers decide whether they like it or not. This can be easily unscrewed. There's two bolts right back here and 2 screws here. This can come right off, and then you just got your gray metal bumper, which is pretty much how I run them. But it's fine to leave it on. But what I find can happen if you're not wearing gloves, these edges are not super sharp, but sharp enough to where if you hit your hand in there fast, it's gonna hurt a little bit. So I generally, with debris screen, I don't run this blue plastic on. Plus, if you ever need to run weights, you have to take the blue plastic off. Okay. Speaking of blue plastic, I'm going to talk about the plastic cover right quick. Okay, so here's most folks that are looking into BCS machines or getting ready to order one, whatever, they see, you know, come with this blue plastic, right? It looks super cool. All right, well, I'm going to show you how to put it on, and then, but before I do that, I do think that these look super cool. I think they're a complete waste and they're annoying. I don't like them at all, and just my personal opinion. There's nothing wrong with running this on your machine if you like it, because it does look neat. But there's 2 reasons why I don't like it. Number one, if someone puts this thing on wrong and the cable is in the cable, so here's how you attach it. Two little pins, if you will, or plastic pieces that have to fit down into these little rubber grommets here, okay? So you have to be pushed down in there. Now, if a cable gets in this position here and someone installs this on here, pushes it down, your cable's going to be trapped inside. Then when somebody who doesn't know that happened goes to rotate the handlebars around, it's going to rip into and cut your cables, perhaps even ruining them. So that's one reason I don't like it. Another reason is as I rotate handlebars around, if I have front and rear mount implements, I like to see all of my cables as I'm rotating around, making sure nothing's pinching or binding. Sometimes you need help cables as you rotate your handlebars, help route them properly so they function well. The other thing is, and I'm just going to set it on here for the moment, when I stand behind the machine, I don't know if you can see me in the video at the moment, but just take my word for it, I'm standing behind the machine. Now, I haven't fully put this on here, but I'm just trying to get to this last point of the plastic. So, maybe it's my height, I don't know, I'm 5'8", but when I want to shift, I cannot see my shift lever, or I'm sorry, not the lever, but the panel down there, because this blue plastic's in the way. I find it annoying. I have to tilt my body off to one side over and over again as I'm using the machine. So for those reasons, I don't use this at all, and I just recommend you just put it back in the bag or keep it in the bag when you get it and put it on the shelf. Also, this thing will, the sun will quickly turn it to some funky tie-dye type of look as well. So, but if you are going to install it, get the cables and move them out of the way, like so. Line up your tabs here. Apparently, I was in the way of the. I was just videoing me putting the plastic on, so we're redoing it right quick. Okay, so trying not to be in the way here too much. So you've got these 2 tabs here. You got a tab up here, and they're going to plop down through these rubber grommets here. Okay, I moved the cables out of the way already. And I'm going to look up under here. And as I line these things up, I just do the two bottom ones first, gently pressing left and right, and then it goes right in. Now those tabs, the green tabs at the bottom, the two, and the one up here at the top, they have to be lubricated. If this stuff's all dry, they will not go in. It will just pop that rubber garment right out onto the ground. Okay. So, and then I look under here and do the last one, just gently pressing it on. Okay, there we go. Plastic sound. Super cool, but not functional. So, but use it if you like. All right, taking it off. Don't just jerk it out like this. You can break the plastic. I stick my fingers right in here, gently wiggle. Same thing up here, gently wiggling. Plastic's off. Going back in the bag. All right, so enough on the purely cosmetic plastic, at least for my opinion. Okay, so let me mention a couple things on the engine, and I'll turn it around and show a couple other things, and I think we'll be about done. So this is an electric start machine. This is, of course, where we start it. 3 positions: off, on, and then turn it to the right to start. There's nothing on here that stays running if you leave the key in the on position. This is not a problem. So over here, which I already mentioned earlier, is our fuel shut-off. And this is clearly labeled. It's written right here, on, showing this way, but this is on, pointing it straight out toward you if you're sitting from the engine is off. Okay. Choke lever, great. It also shows you which way is choke. It's showing to the left if you're sitting from the engine. So that would be choke. You pretty much have to choke these when the engine has not already been warmed up. One thing to note, hour meter. So we have an hour meter on here. So there is a wire down behind this battery box. So just know that when you go to pull this up, don't just pull it way up in the air. It's going to jam the cable or something like that. When you put it back on, just grab the wire and try and push it back down in between the air filter and the air intake. That way it will help prevent it from being pushed at the top. And fasten back down. Well, while I'm in there, it's just going out. I might as well check the snugness on the air filter. There we go. Okay, so getting that back in there, and there we go. Let me turn this thing around on the side, and well, yeah, I can show you. You're alright. I'm going to put it right here. Look! You're trying to get a hold of me. Okay. Alright, so on the engine. Oil drain, engine oil drain right here, engine oil fill. So as far as the fluids and everything, I email every customer a sheet with all of this stuff about fluids for implements, tractors, maintenance notes, and all these kinds of things. Plus you of course get owner's manuals. So I'm not really trying to get into what type of fluid, but I might as well show it in the video. Here's where you drain your engine oil, here's where you fill it. You could also do it on the other side. This is a little bit more open. So with the machine level, it's slanted down just a little bit. You want to raise it a little bit to check it, but before you run it, open this up. Should become maximum full. Should either have a little bit dripping out or be all the way at the end with no threads exposed. So maximum full all times. And then transmission on the tractor, power safe. Well, similar on the non-power safe as well, but basically here's our dipstick here. Same thing with machine level. You want to wipe this thing off. You want to be in between the 2 notches on the dipstick. Pretty straightforward. Manual talks about that. The drain, I don't know if you can see it down in here, but here's the drain for our transmission on the power safe machine. I believe that's a 22 millimeter. And I would like, speaking of the power safe, let me get back and show you the filter. So the power safe machine, unlike the non-power safe machines don't have this. Okay, so here's an additional filter that you have to change on the power safe machines at a regular interval along with your fluid. Okay, firstly at 30 hours, and then BCS requires 100 hours or once per year, whichever comes first after that. So I'll show you where this fits on the machine. Okay, might be. Let's see if you can get down in there. Can you see it in the video? Okay, right down in here is where this filter that I was just showing you is. Okay, I would just use, sure, you can get an aftermarket filter if you want. I don't recommend that. Just use a BCS specific filter. Why not? You get a good warranty with these machines, and I mean, what are you going to save? Like $3 if you're that worried about saving $3. Probably going to be buying this equipment anyways. But do what you want. We of course stock these and supply them to our customers as needed. So power safe, and I guess let's take a quick look at the PTO. I think that will probably be it for this video. I'll think about any other power safe specific stuff you might have forgotten. Just about everyone, because they are included in the price on the professional series trotters, which is 99% of what we sell these days. Quick hitch. This is your quick hitch. These are your studs that hold the quick hitch on. These need to be tight, very tight, at all times. So this is where whatever implement you get is going to connect up to this. Hey, real quick, I forgot to mention, so here we go, adjusting bolts. So a lot of our cables here have these adjusting bolts. They're all the same, 13mm lock nut on them, 11mm adjusting bolt. So if you want to loosen a cable, back out the 13mm lock nut and take the adjusting bolt and screw it in this way. I'm turning it in, and you actually can see, I don't know if you can see in the video, the brake lever's moving. It's creating more slack. Okay? If you need to tighten a cable, do the opposite. Back that thing out. Okay? It's going to tighten it up. This works for anything. Oh, and speaking of that, let me mention real quick about the power safe machine. So the non-power safe machines, we put a whole bunch of slack in our clutch cable for that style of clutch. On the power safe machine, we don't do that, but it will have a tiny bit of slack, just a very little bit of movement, which this one does have, and I'll adjust it from this position. So I just wanted to note that if you get an email and it's talking about putting, I watched one of the other videos about putting in a lot of slack in the clutch cable. That is not for power safe models. That is for the non-power safe models, 853, 732, and such. So just FYI on that. But as long as there's just a tiny bit of movement in here, that's how we set them up. And anyways, so yeah, adjusting bolts. You got a bunch of them all around the machine. So if you need, do any adjusting with your cables. But like I said, they're all the same. You can adjust them very easily. Alright, well, thanks for watching the video on the controls of the BCS 749 PowerSafe model. It's very similar to the controls for the 739 and the 750 BCS are very similar to that. We'll maybe do a video on those at some point. We just sell so few of those because the biggest seller by far is the BCS 853 and then 749 as well. So, any questions, call or email, and thanks for watching, and God bless and happy growing.